So today we'll be going over some statistical data that we gathered by doing a sample survey. And basically, we called a vast amount of people and we asked them how they felt about the Bible. And these are the results that we gathered. So for the Bible survey, we had four different options that a person could choose from. The first option being the Bible is the actual word of God and is to be taken literally. The Bible is inspired word of God, but not everything it should be taken literally. Third option being the Bible is an ancient book of fables. And the fourth option being the Bible is some other origin but recorded by man. Now, as you can see by looking at this pie chart, that the majority is split between the Bible is actually Word of God and to be taken literally, and the Bible is inspired Word of God, but not everything is to be taken literally. Now, looking on the right, we have a bar graph showing what we had in the results before, and we also have a frequency table, and basically just down below shows the elements that we saw previously before. Um, the 1, 2, 3, 4, once again representing the answers in the response. Now, looking back at this again, we add some more charts, but this is for age, and this is representing the age groups of the people that were surveyed inside of the sample. So as you can see, we have it split up into four different main categories. One being 15 to 35, the next being 35 to 55, 55 to 75, and 75 to 95. Now, as we can tell from the relative frequency, the majority of the people surveyed were in between 35 and 55. Now, we also have a box plot up top. Um, we have our 5 number summary, and we also have another pie chart. Now, another thing that we thought was important to take note of with the education level of the people that we were surveying. Based on this information, we can tell that most of the people that we surveyed were graduated high school or in college or past or already had those degrees underneath their belt. Once again, speaking about degrees again in education, um, as you can see from this graph, um, it is saying basically their education level completed. So it goes from 0, which is no degree, 1, which would be high school, 2 would be junior college, 3, bachelor, 4 is grad, and 8 is for not known. We also decided to record the sex of the people that we were recording, split into 2 different genders. 1 is for a male, and 2 is for female. Now, as we can see, based on the frequency table, we had 198 males and 217 females. Now, using what we call the contingency table, we can look at the male and we can relate it to the previous Bible question that we had answered before. And basically, what this does is basically shows the relationship between both of these two um, separate categories. And I find it pretty interesting. Um, so, for example, if we want to look at males, we would look at the left hand column. So we have male 1 And if we were going to see who were the males who answered question one, we would go to one and then slide over to one again on the top, and then what we have is an answer of 86.83. And that's just an assumed number that we can guess to be in that category. So it may not be exact, but that's the number that we can assume. Another thing that we looked at was the race of the people that we were surveying. So one stood for white, two for black, and three for other races. Now, as you can see, a vast majority of the people surveyed were of white descent, um, the frequency of 308 people. Now, one thing I just want to add that I didn't say before was the total amount of people surveyed were 415 people. Now we're going to look at the donations. So for the donations, we have our pie chart to the left and our frequency table to the far right. Um, as you can see, well, I'll get into that later. But for our confidence interval for 95%, we have 952 to 1,090.60 cents. All right, and then another question. So we have so for if the probability of donation in a given year is zero point 0.7, what is the likelihood that 9 out of 10 parishioners do donate? So what we get is an answer of 41.56. And back to that confidence interval, basically that information is just telling us, it's giving us a gauge of where we can expect most of the people in the data to fall in between. Yep. Okay. So the question is our donation data distributedly normal? Now on the top right, it's a little faded, but that is a scattered dot plot. And on the bottom left, we have a histogram or a bar graph. And that's a really good way to check if a distribution is distributed normally. You can tell if it's bell-shaped or not. And in this case, we can see that it is not bell-shaped and it is very skewed to the right with one peak, and it is not symmetrical around the mean. So what can we conclude from this data? What I really found surprising and I kind of concerning is that 80% of people believe that the Bible was a fable book. This is definitely something that we don't want as we're trying to save souls. You don't want people to believe that what believe that God is a make-believe character. That's obviously not what we're trying to do. Secondly, I found it concerning that the majority of the races that we surveyed were only white. While this is, not bad that we're surveying white people, I just want to make sure that we're also making sure that we're reaching out to other communities. As a black man myself, I want to make sure that we are connecting to minorities as well as the majority as well, because obviously the gospel is for everyone, not just for the majority. It is our vocation to spread the word. By using stats, we can do so more efficiently. So we can use this data and go out in our communities and hopefully make the world a better place. Thank you.